You see, how does this look? Doesn't this look amazing? Tshidi Tenyane is a girl next door. I grew up around church, and I think that is basically what makes me, because I would say that's what I know growing up. Isondo, and just being a typical girl,
One of Tshidi Tenyane's legendary performances from Idol Season 8, where she performed How Will I Know. How do you feel when you think about the performances right now?
I'm grateful. I'm grateful. This was part of my journey. I'll always appreciate that. This was what launched me, and I'll forever be grateful to the show, regardless of how the turnout was.
Yes.
People know who you are.
Yes.
People know what you're about. And I didn't just want to be known as the next celebrity or the next, I really want my music to inspire, and humble to the man upstairs that I finally get an opportunity to do that. The name of the song is Andoyiki. Andoyiki means I'm not afraid. And this doesn't necessarily mean myself, because as a Christian, the scripture in the Bible, it says, greater is the one that is in you than he that is in the world. So because I know and because I'm aware that God lives in me, I use him as my shield, I use him as my pillar, and I use him as the guy that pushes me, the guy upstairs. That's what we say when you try to make it cool. But the guy upstairs is above everything, is above all else. So I felt that as much as I wanted to dedicate the song to people that have been loyal, or to some of the things that I've went through in my life, try to explain it, I felt that it was an obligation almost to dedicate it to the men upstairs first. That's why it sounds almost gospel, it sounds almost soulful. So there's nothing specific about it. It's just we got into studio and we started writing, and that's what came up. And I felt that represented me and my journey. And yeah, it just basically means I've got no fear, and I'm going to do this, of course, with faith and trust in God. So that's what it means. My inspiration behind the song was, of course, life's journey, and being born and bred in this beautiful country of ours, the challenges we've overcome, rape and all sorts of negative stuff that has been going on around. And this is just to say that with all of that happening, I'm able to conquer, I'm able to overcome. I worked with the likes of Simango, genuine guy. I think the first time me and him were introduced, I just fell in love instantly. We gelled, we sort of had the same vision and the same drive, and immediately when I sat down, and he had heard my voice before, I'd never met him, so he had said to me, I already know what your sound's gonna sound like, and I was like, no you don't. But when he wrote the first lyric, I was just blown away, and I'm like, me and this guy are gonna work well together. So Umelusi is basically, I think, the one who sort of drove me to this direction. Because the song is Xhosa and Nandi Msutu, so He challenged me a lot. He was the one that really inspired the whole song. So I did the song with Melody Smamo, and a whole lot of other people had also worked on the song with me, and everyone had a bit of something, you know, that was put in the song. And then there's also Andoyiki, who was also there in studio like each and every day, making sure that the sound and the vocals came together and that it sounded amazing. The challenges that I faced while trying to put the whole album together, first of all, was the language. I was not sure if I was going to be able to deliver the songs properly. You know, there's isiZulu, there's Xhosa, and we've also got Sesotho in the album. So I've always thought I'm going to do a whole lot of English songs. So when Lucy was like, no, Skin, you can do Xhosa, and I was like, no, I'm not going to go there. So number one, that was a challenge for me, and I did not want to disappoint, because I mean, there are actual Xhosas who really critique the song, and I was really nervous going into it. So my main challenge was the language. Number two, it was time. I was not used to, working almost 24/7, and this was what the project had required. So I was in studio from the early hours of 2 a.m. in the morning and up until the evening, and sometimes we would forget that we haven't even eaten. So that was quite a challenge for me, but I only realized later on. And also during the recording of the album, I was pregnant. So that was also a bit of a challenge. However, I overcame. So baby Lucanio later came, but during that time I was highly pregnant. I think from about 4 months up until I was like 7 months pregnant, I was in studio. So that was also another challenge, but I didn't let it put me down.
You baby, just like Tshidi loves to sing. Thank you.
I don't necessarily want to put a label on my sound, because I believe that every artist needs to be diverse, you know. I mean, we tried a bit of house as well on the album. There's one track that sort of represents, you know, the house, and there's also a little bit of R&B-ish songs in there. So I don't really want to say that there's a specific sound, but of course my songs have a bit of soul, you know. There's a lot of like Afro pop in there, so I don't really want to put a label on it, but I'm doing a bit of everything, but it's driven and it's directed by the soul, so it's mainly just soulful. I wanted to find myself after Idols. I wanted to become so successful. I wanted my music to be a success. I didn't want 5 years down the line to not have my song being played. So I wanted to really have something that will still be here 10 years later, 20 years later. So of course that was going to require a lot of time. So yeah. Yeah. a successful artist. My plans in the future involve me giving back to my community. I've started a few projects where I sort of identify facilities in my community that have needs and stuff. So that's also what I'm looking into. My aim is to also encourage, you know, all the plus size girls, little girls that are growing up, that they are beautiful, beautiful.